I was thinking about when I was a Jehovah's Witness, trying really hard to be a member of the congregation. I always felt like I was faking it, even though I wasn't. I always felt like I was faking it because it never made sense to me, and I felt guilty because it never made sense to me. And so, because it never made sense to me, somehow I felt like there was something wrong with me. And the organization had trained me and thought programmed me so well. And it had even lasted from the duration of when I was a teenager and I had fallen away to when I was 19, 20 years old and I was trying to come back. It was about a good 7 or 8 year span. The fact in my mind was that the Jehovah's Witnesses had the truth, that I had a hope for paradise earth. I really believed it. I wanted to believe it. And that if I would do my best to be a good Jehovah's Witness, then there's a possibility that I could make it. So when I was a teenager, I was carrying that around this whole time, just thinking, I'm a big loser and I'm not worthy of God's love, and all these victimizations, woe is me mentalities. And I got that out of my system and I realized, wow, that's bullshit. That's really a good way to fuck yourself, and I don't want to do that anymore. I'm too young just because I'm young, I'm thinking in my mind, doesn't mean that I'm supposed to victimize myself or put myself in stupid situations. I took charge of my life. Unfortunately, I went to the other extreme of feeling that I needed the congregation. So when I went back, I was happy. I knew people. I thought I could start over and take my life in the direction where it needed to go. And I started to study, and I did study, and I kept studying, and I got to the point where I was publishing. And then it started to, when I was trying to preach to people, I realized that I couldn't make sense of my own arguments. Like, it didn't make sense to me. Like, I was trying to, I couldn't sell something that I didn't believe in, and it was killing me inside. And I was watching my husband doing so well and progressing, and people really like him and are really drawn to him, and he was going out in field service a lot. He was a lot more active than I was. I had a kind of a conflicting job schedule at the time. And he made it, and he got baptized, and here I wasn't baptized yet, and people were kind of starting to look at me weird because I wasn't making as much spiritual progress as he was. And I really felt like I was letting everybody down, but I had never stopped to really realize that the whole time I was carrying around this belief that I didn't believe in. Cognitive dissonance, call it what you will, but I was carrying it around, and I knew I couldn't live that life, but I knew in my heart, for some reason, that was the truth. Because I had been convinced to not go out and actually find out what it was, I unshakingly knew, for some reason at that point in time, that was the truth. Okay? Even when I was out partying and up and doing crazy stuff, I still felt that was the truth. I just felt like I was a big piece of shit. So I carried that around still. I still felt like I was a big piece of shit because it wouldn't assimilate into my belief system, and I could not really seriously push everyone out of my life. My parents were both disfellowshipped, and I was encouraged when I was a witness to either get them to come back or stop talking to them. So every time I was around them, I felt pressured to preach to them, and it was unhealthy, and it was creating tension in my relationship. And then slowly, when I started to realize that it was bullshit and that there's really no biblical reason for not speaking with your family if they don't belong to the same religious affiliation as you, when I started to really accept that, then I slowly started winning them back into my life, and it was a blessing. But I still felt horrible. I felt like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I believe this? And so it comes to the point where you do finally have to accept that it's not the truth and have the balls to admit you were wrong and go out and do the research and realize why you were wrong, so that the people that you were wrong to and lied to and didn't treat fairly because of your incorrect beliefs, you could explain to them, hey, I did go back and do the research and, I do know why it's wrong. That way I can absolve myself of feeling like a big piece of shit. I feel like a lot of people that are Jehovah's Witnesses that anonymously post on YouTube, or I don't know exactly what it is, but you defend the beliefs and the doctrine of the Jehovah's Witnesses and the Watchtower. And it's kind of funny to me because I'm thinking in my mind, well, you were just like me. Probably. You're not supposed to be on the internet, but yet you go on it anyway. Okay, so you're a big piece of shit. You can't follow the rules, right? You hate yourself. So you've got to convert that hate into judgment, and you've got to find other things and other people who don't believe what you believe to make yourself feel right. Or I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I feel like there's a huge amount of people, probably more than the actual witnesses that are in right now, that believe that their doctrine is the truth, but hate themselves because they feel like they can't be a Jehovah's Witness. That's what they want. Do you realize that that's what they want, the Watchtower? They want you to feel like a piece of shit. Because if you can't follow all their perfect little rules and guidelines, which are actually pretty much impossible in this world that we live in, like you pretty much shouldn't own a TV, any kind of movies, any kind of clothes like this. You should not have anything like that. Pretty much. Otherwise, you're a big piece of shit because your religion says so. And I can't understand why people would be so masochistic and hate themselves so much. It sickens me, really, and it's sad, and I really feel really bad for those people. And I am being shunned, actually, by non-Jehovah's Witnesses who are family members of my husband who, are related to the Jehovah's Witnesses. But non-Jehovah's Witnesses are being encouraged not to speak with us. Because those people who even aren't Jehovah's Witnesses, don't belong to a congregation, who still carry that concept in their mind that they're attached to, are they're so entrapped and imprisoned by this thought that they're a big piece of shit and that only Jehovah's Witnesses are right, that they're willing to sacrifice things that they don't even need to in order to gain back a little bit of correctness. It's just like, it boggles my mind that all this nonsense can go on. People choose to not recognize it, and I'm losing family, I'm losing friends, people who live around the corner from me, people who I see at the grocery store, people who I see at Starbucks. I'm not there to them, but I don't feel defeated by it anymore. I don't feel as if it controls me anymore, as if the concept has any influence on my life. The only influence it does bear on my life is the influence on others that it bears that are in my life. But I've taken charge back of my life to where I can choose to not play by those rules. I can choose to smile at them. I can choose to give them a call and leave them a message if I want. I can choose to do that. I don't play by the rules. Thanks, Troop. Come here, buddy. Sit down. Sit. I don't play by those rules. So, if you believe in what they teach, but you can't do it, please ask yourself why you believe it, and please have the balls to admit that you were wrong, and go out and find out what the Bible really says, and what the witnesses say, and what the Watchtower says, and do an analytical contrast of what that is, and really analyze why you feel the way you feel about your beliefs, because they're not above reproach, and they're not above analyzation, and that's your choice to make that. So, sorry about the rambling. My son finally took a nap, and it's gorgeous outside. But I was just thinking about that these people have this, it's like Stockholm Syndrome. They're in love with their captor, even outside of the prison. Are they really outside? Are you really outside?